Hello and welcome to another edition of the Moving Iron Podcast. This podcast is proudly provided by Axon, helping dealers move more iron for almost 100 years. Find out more at axontire.com. Axon was started almost 100 years ago out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. It's that same passion that drives them today. With a vision for a better experience for both farmer and dealer, they set out to create a better way to move more iron. When you partner with Axon, you get immediate access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. Axon carries all major brands and sizes of tires, wheels, and tracks. From custom colors and sizes to fully customized wheels, you can have the solution for virtually any problem today's farmer is trying to solve. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley has over 33 years in the trucking business, moving ag and construction equipment across the country. For more information, go to valleytransinc.com or give Parker a call at 800-657-4910. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast Markets with Chip Nellinger. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Chip, does it get cold in Illinois in the wintertime?
There's a strong seasonal tendency for cold temperatures. You knew when it was 60 degrees on Christmas Day that we were going to pay for it eventually.
Yeah, and I think you're probably getting ready to have a little taste of that. Do you like to keep your hands warm in the wintertime, Chip?
When I'm outside, I definitely do.
Well, if you want a free pair of deerskin gloves, go ahead and email marketing at axontire.com, and the good folks at Axon Tire will send you a free pair of deerskin work gloves to help you through those cold January days. So might take advantage of that, Chip.
I think I needed those yesterday when I was digging out of the mini blizzard we had.
Yeah, there was a little bit of snow came through the area. So if you're interested in a free pair of gloves from Axon Tire, go to marketing at axontire.com, and they will send you a pair over. So Valley Transportation has been hauling ag and construction equipment across the country for the past 33 years. Call Parker at 800-657-4910 for all your trucking needs. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours. No matter how you buy ag equipment, from a dealer, auction, or a private party, AgDirect can help you finance it. You can even apply online at agdirect.com. Learn more about your financing options at agdirect.com. Chip is with Blue Reef Agri-Marketing out of Morton, Illinois, and is kind enough to come on once a week and talk about what's going on in the market. So, Chip, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good holiday season.
Hey, Happy New Year, Casey. It was very relaxing and kicking the new year off with a little bit of volatility here. So it's going to be an interesting month of January. Weather market full blown. Got the crop report coming out on the 12th. You got some outside market volatility, a little bit of everything. And started off the first trading day of the year yesterday with some very choppy action, kind of unexpected action to a lot of people with corn and wheat getting beat up a little bit in spite of a really kind of a threatening forecast in southern Brazil and across Argentina.
Yeah, that was the I paid attention, but I didn't pay attention that last couple weeks there, but towards the end of the year, and there was just as much volatility going into New Year's Eve as there was any other time of the year, if not more. And like you talked about, it kind of spilled over into the first of the year, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. Whether you take a look at the Omicron virus, and you got drought, and you've got situations down in Brazil. It's dry in one place and flooding in the other. So I mean, there's all kinds of craziness happening right now. I guess as you kind of overlook, like you just mentioned, we're right smack dab in another weather market again. Or I don't know if we really ever stopped being in the weather market, but I guess as you take a look at all these factors that are playing in, I mean, what are some of your thoughts as you take a look at this, first part of January heading to the real big? I mean, this crop report on the 12th is going to be a big market mover one way or the other.
It is. It probably most importantly, it's going to give us our final yield numbers, and then from there you can kind of work into it backwards, to see what the carryout's going to be. A lot of evidence the last few months that USDA is too low on ethanol demand, so some people thinking they're going to bump up ethanol demand. Back of my mind, and I am a very poor predictor of what the USDA is going to do, so don't put much weight on this, but I would think that as dry as corn got at the end, we had a last 20, 30%, maybe more of harvest. People were harvesting corn at, 14% moisture. We had a lot of down corn kind of across the I-80 corridor, particularly in Illinois. And so it wouldn't be a stretch for me to think that they could maybe shave the corn yield back just a little bit. I think they're probably close on bean yields. You're going to have updates of world numbers. You're going to have a wheat planted acreage number. So a lot of information to drive us. That's, a week and a half out. And between now and then, the weather really is starting to matter now. And I wouldn't have put money on a back-to-back major drought, in South America, particularly southern Brazil. But La Nina is still, very much in effect. And it does look like they've got some problems down there. A lot of private forecasters are already ratcheting back their production in Brazil, so anywhere from 8 to 10 plus million metric tons and counting. Still going to be a big crop, but the month of January, if they don't get much more rain, those estimates are going to continue to head south. And, the lower they go, that just means more potential export business for us eventually, less for Brazil to put out. Don't want to say that they won't have a crop. There's right now a lot of people thinking that even though you've ratcheted back production, they're still looking at, around a record crop. But the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to probably tell more of that tale. And unless they get some rain, that production number is going to shrink. And it's just become a very interesting situation. The corn market, obviously the bean market has kind of taken over the leadership role, as it should. Corn market seems a little bit heavy. It's torn between kind of a sell-off we've seen in wheat and a rally in beans, and corn doesn't know what to do. But eventually, if this dry weather continues into late January and into February, the corn market's going to get much more nervous about the potential for the Brazil second crop corn to be affected by these drought conditions too. Possibly planting. I mean, it's dry enough that that could affect planting, and if they get it in the ground then and it stays dry into February, March, that could affect production as well, and just be something that becomes wildly dynamic in corn. But right now it's more about bean situation, and beans have taken over kind of a leadership role to the upside here. So going to be an interesting month of January, and you mentioned that crop report being a big part of that. So this volatility is going to ramp up. Not that it hasn't been there already. We've seen some big, crazy swings intraday. It seems, kind of a head-turning volatility right now, but it's probably going to increase here in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. All right. So one other thing I want to make sure we hit on here, and this kind of we're about 2-3 weeks past the big weather event we had down in Kansas and Oklahoma with the high winds, the dust and stuff that are blowing, and the ambient temperature and relative humidity and those kind of things. When that all took place, some 100-mile-an-hour winds across there, and then you throw, just a really bitter freeze on top of that. The hard red winter wheat the next couple of weeks could really play a big factor in what we see happening right now, pricing. So I guess what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's the eternal battle between fundamentals and technicals on the chart. And the technicals are winning right now. You kind of have a lot of aggressive fund and chart-based selling, and kind of triggered a head and shoulders top, which would forecast much lower prices. But on top of that, you have the fundamental friendly conditions you talked about there. How much damage was done from that windstorm event? There was a little bit of snow in some areas. Is there enough snow cover to protect against some of these bitter freezing temperatures? And so I don't think we've heard the last of potential damage for the Kansas wheat crop in particular, but unfortunately, it seems like the the charts are in control right now, and the funds are, building up a short position in wheat based on the chart and the technicals being a little bit negative. To that, I would add that sometimes in this type of environment with so much volume and volatility and algo trading, that sometimes those old classic chart patterns don't have as much follow through as they used to. So I could see a case there where you get everybody bared up because of this big head and shoulders, and we had some damage in Kansas, and the winter kill problems, and go roaring back the other way and put another rally in the wheat market. That's kind of how the wheat market operates, and a very vicious, hard to predict market with a mind of its own. And if that happens, if you stabilize the wheat market at the same time it stays dry in South America, I think that really flips over and adds some strength to the corn market as well. And going off on a real tangent here, Casey, if you look at kind of the spread activity, you knock on the door at 1290 new crop beans, can't even break north of 550 on new crop corn. If you're sitting there in the I states listening to this, you're saying, I'm going to plant corn, right? But if you're sitting in the I states, you probably also have a real strong possibility and sitting on some ground that can, raise 220 to 250 bushel corn. But in the areas that, you're talking 180, 190 bushel corn potential, beans are winning the battle right now and going to pick up a lot of acres, and unless something changes. So you throw that into the mix, and it's just a lot of uncertainty driving things here in this new year. We haven't even talked about the outside markets yet.
Right. And that's the outside market thing. Is there's a lot of money flowing in and out of those markets here lately. I mean, there's a lot of just constantly moving around, and talk about volatility. What we see on the commodity side is one thing, but what we're seeing on the outside market side for volatility is dramatically higher than what we're seeing right now. So a lot of things to pay attention to on that front for sure. All right, let's bounce down and talk about what's going over in the proteins. Right now, wholesale beef, box beef, those kind of things has really kind of settled up there a little bit. We kind of saw some dramatic fall off there at the end. Biden's talking about, fighting fair prices with some different programs they have out there, and they're talking about some payments and those kind of things to offset some losses for poultry and beef producers. So I guess as you take a look at what's going on there, what are your thoughts?
Oh my goodness, what are my thoughts? I think that obviously I'm cynical. Not that there doesn't need to be more competitive, open, free market. Maybe on the packing side of the equation, you've seen a lot of smaller, independent, packers try to enter the market here the last couple of years. More over the next year, 18 months. That's good to open those markets up. When you start getting the government involved, I get, just cynical that a lot of times when the government tries to intervene, it winds up, end result, bottom line, making it worse than it was before they open their mouths. So that's a fear that I have. But, anytime you can talk about more competitive, free, open, capitalistic, non-monopolistic markets, it's a good thing, right? That's I'm a free market guy at the at the heart of it. The pork side of the equation, this California nonsense market, the hog market, the pork market, trying to sift through that and find out what that means, and I think that's still, the jury's still out. Obviously, increasing, that increases costs, and then to that point, you start getting the government involved, and you have effects that typically aren't well thought out to begin with, and oftentimes causes more problems than what they're trying to fix. And I guess on the environmental side, that's fine and good. But if you're a hog producer out west, it just changed your world, right?
Right.
I mean, it just almost doubled your cost and competitiveness. And so the hog market's still sifting through that. It's going to take some time to figure out what that means. There's people saying, so you're almost going to have two different types of pork markets now. The the stuff that follows with that proposition in California, the stuff that doesn't. And so, a lot of changes happening there. And at the heart of the matter, I've thought for a while, and, again, this is just big picture and my 2 cents, that the livestock sector, I think, is set for good things in the first half of 2022 across the board. I think the feedlot side, is obviously going to battle higher feed costs in here, but I think things are going to look good. I think you're going to start shrinking supply a little bit here as you get deeper into the first quarter. I think the massive amount of cow slaughter that we've had is going to start affecting the feeder cattle market, cow market, kind of help breathe a little bit of relief into the cow calf guy this year. And I think the hog market's set for a decent year. You look out there at the summer months, and you're already over 90 in the summer months. I mean, second year in a row. I mean, so yes, higher feed costs, but we've got some pretty decent pricing out there with spring and summer cattle north of 140, and spring, late spring, early summer hogs north of 90. Things are looking pretty good out there, and I think they can continue to see an upswing into the first part of this calendar year.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of moving parts out there, and to your point, I don't know too many times the government stepped in and made something better. So it's a
especially recently.
Yeah, it's been a struggle here of late for sure. Yeah.
And I've rambled on a lot, Casey. I think something that's important, the first 2 trading sessions of this new year, you've seen Treasury bonds have a big move lower. That's inversely related to interest rates.
Yep.
So interest rates start the new year off higher. That's really put a rally in the U.S. dollar. So that speaks directly to inflation, right? The Federal Reserve has said that over the next year or so, they're going to have 2 to 3 interest rate increases. The bond market to start the new year is kind of hinting that that's the way they're leaning. So if that continues, if that's a trend that's just starting and interest rates are going to rise, that's going to bring strength to the dollar, and that could throw a little cold water on this inflation thing. But there's a tons of money flowing in and out of out of equities into commodities. That's yet to be played out. So the next couple of weeks are going to be interesting to see how much money flows into the commodity sector.
Yep. Yeah, and that's where that volatility starts to play into all that. There's just the more money that flows in, the more chance for volatility that we're going to see, and which is a good thing. Volatility opens up the market to profitability. So it'll be interesting to watch this, especially after the report comes out on the 12th, what the money flow looks like. So a lot of things to pay attention to. For sure, it's going to get more interesting, I believe, and more volatile. And we talk about it all the time. More important to have a plan. Inputs have gone up, still profitable levels out there. Nothing like we saw last year for the 21 crop, but it makes it much more important to have a risk management plan, be ready to execute it, and be ready for the volatility that we know is coming to position yourself for profitability. It's possible. It's getting harder, and you got to have a plan. Otherwise, you're going to get chewed up by this volatility. Absolutely. And if folks are working on that plan, Chip, what's the best way to get a hold of you and your compadres over there at Blue Reef Agri Marketing?
Yeah, best way is just give us a call directly at our office, 309-550-7213.
All right, Chip, appreciate you being on the podcast, man.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Casey.
Right on. I'm Casey Seymour with Moving Iron Podcast. Make sure you check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you're going to find the latest editions of the Moving Iron Podcast. Also go to MovingIronLLC.com for the latest information on the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee. That'll be September 6th through the 8th at the Hilton downtown Nashville. So if you're interested in checking that out, pay attention to the website for more information. I'll have that pretty much wrapped up here this weekend, so you'll have all that up there as well. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour with Chip Nellinger. Let's go move some iron, folks. Out. You want to have a meaningful competitive advantage to help sell more equipment. Whether you represent the sales, parts, or management department of an implement dealership, there's a surprising amount of complexity when it comes to tire, wheel, and track technology. Let Axon worry about that so you can get back to supporting your customers. Axon has leveraged years of experience to create a streamlined process that gives you a proven path to help today's grower and sell more equipment. The roots of their organization go back almost 100 years to the invention of the rubber tractor tire. Supporting agriculture is the number one driver of Axon, from product development through sales and service. To find more or become an Axon dealer, head over to axontire.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Valley Transportation. Valley has over 33 years in the trucking business, moving ag and construction equipment across the country. For more information, go to valleytransinc.com or give Parker a call at 800-657-4910. At Valley Transportation, our goal is to help you reach yours.
Moving higher in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving higher, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving higher.